All right, so we talked about a relation, which is a relationship between an input and an output. And then we talked about the range, or domain and range, where domain was your input values and your range was your output values. And I kind of made some mention of a function. And a function is a special type of relationship. And it's the special type of relationship where you have your input. All right, let's just look at this relation here. ABC 1, 2, 3. So my elements in my input are ABC, and the elements in my output are 1, 2, 3. Now, for this to be, so this is a relationship, and well, so the relationship as they order thing, but for this to be a function, it has to follow this set of rules. For every element in my every element in my domain has to correspond to exactly one element in my range. So for this to be a function, every element in my domain has to correspond to exactly one element in my range. So this is what we call a function. What we have is an element in my input corresponds to exactly one element in my range. Now, let me go through another example here. Actually, you know, I'll save a little time here. And let's take a look at this. What about if I didn't say B went to 2, but B also went to 1? So again, well, let's look at it. Every element in the domain has to correspond to exactly one element in the range. So A goes to one element, which is 1. B also goes to one element, which is 1. And C goes to one element, which is 3. That still follows my definition. It's OK that these go to the same element as long as they go to exactly one element. So here's an example of a non-function. What about, so this is also a function, but what if I said B goes to 1 and B also goes to 2? So now when I say every element in my domain goes exactly to one element, we could say that this is not a function because B goes to 2 different elements. So this is an example of mapping. Let's take a look at an ordered pair. And because that's going to be something that's going to come up a little bit more. So let's take a look at ordered pair. Let's say I have a set of ordered pairs, -1, 0, and 7, 3. OK, I'll just use different numbers for here. Let's use 7, 5, just so I don't get anybody confused. So my relationship, remember, says that I have ordered pairs, x and y. My domain for this example is going to be 3, -1, and 7. And the range is going to be the set of all my y coordinates, which is going to be 4, 0, and 5. All right? So is this a function or not? Does every element in my domain correspond to exactly one element in the range? And you could say yes. 3 goes to 4, -1 goes to 0, and 7 goes to 5. So therefore, this is a function. And all it really can take is, you know, me to kind of switch it around for me to show you an example of a non-function. So let's take a look at this ordered pair. So here, and I'm not going to write through the domain and range to keep the video a little bit short, but here we can take a look at my domain is 3, 3, and 0. I don't need to say 3 twice, but it's 3 and 0. My range is 5, -1, and 8. But notice the relationship between my x values and my y values, my input and my output, my domain goes to 5, and my domain also maps to my x coordinate maps to 5. My x coordinate 3 maps to 5, and my x coordinate 3 also maps to -1. So since my domain maps to 2 different ranges in this example, this would not be a function. All right, now ordered pairs are very similar, just like a table, or even plotting some points. But let's just take a look at 2 examples of a graph that are more common that you're going to see. And you know, I'm going to kind of go through some examples when we talk about how to determine if it's a function with a graph. But let's just look at this visually and see. So on this graph, what I have is you have x coordinates, right? So every single one of your x coordinates is along your x-axis, and then you have your y-axis. Well, does every x coordinate correspond to exactly one y coordinate? And you could say, yes, wherever I go on my x coordinate, I have exactly one y value. Now let's take a look at this graph. Well, does every x coordinate correspond to exactly one y coordinate? So you go to this point, well, it corresponds to this y coordinate, but it also corresponds to that y coordinate. So therefore, this is a function. However, this would not be a function. So hopefully that kind of gives you a brief little understanding of what a function is and what a function is not. Remember, it's just a special type of relationship where every element in their domain maps or relates to exactly one element in your range. So there you go. Thanks. Having questions in the comments, go below. Thanks.